What is your full name?
My name is John Waggoner, W-A-G-G-O-N-E-R.
And I'm John's brother, Michael Waggoner.
Where and when were you born and raised?
I was born December 10th, 1947.
And I was born March 14th, 1945.
Why did you go into the U.S. Navy and where did you enlist?
Pretty much because we're from a Navy family. Our dad was a subsailor in World War II. One of my mother's brother was a sailor on cruises in World War II. My father's brother was a sailor on the USS Yorktown. And the other brother of my mother was in the Army Air Force. So we pretty much came from a Navy family.
Any interesting experiences at boot camp?
Boot camp? Speaking for myself, when I enlisted, I didn't realize that because of my college education, I had almost 2 years of chemical engineering, that when I went and got sworn in New York back in 1965, my name was called after I was sworn in by an officer, so I went up to the front of the room and reported to him, and he said that I was an E2, which is, when you go in, you're an E1. But they never told me, because of my schooling, they gave me the rate of E2, which technically meant I outranked the other guys that were with me. And he said, so you outranked these people, I'm going to give you a list. There was like 50 names. Get them to Chicago and Great Lakes. That was my first experience of being in charge of a bunch of people. And that was our ship, the DD-888. That's in Valletta, Malta. Everybody depended on each other, so you didn't, even if you weren't comfortable with somebody or were not, friendly with somebody, when the push came to shove, that was not even, you're focused on trying to stay alive. So one thing on this ship that I learned was that we were not really going to survive if our ship came under attack by a jet, because the guns were from World War II.
Right, they didn't go up high enough.
I was on, I had to watch, we were pulling the sled and the planes were coming over. And I couldn't believe it. I see that jet just come down right at us. And there's no way even picking them up. You just sit and target. Before that last was a Limey jets that we were pulling for. And he came by and he did give us a nice thank you note. And he came right at us. I'm sitting there and I'm waiting for him to pull up. And he came as close as he could. And he took it off and shook his wings at us and took off. So it was pretty good, but they were English.
Many believe serving on a destroyer is a special thing. What are your thoughts about serving on a U.S. Navy destroyer?
Well, I'm very active back home in veterans groups. I belong to the VFW, Disabled Vets, and Vietnam Vets, and I'm the president of a Vets Council. So being from Norwich in Preston area, we got the sub base, New London, so I'm usually surrounded by subsailors. So my favorite thing is to tease them, because we always tease each other, is that I was in the real Navy, which if you're on a destroyer, you're in the real Navy. It's like living on a roller coaster and living out of a garbage can for food, because the food was that bad. So I like to say that if you survived on a destroyer, you were in the real Navy, because that was one tough place to live and be at sea.
Yeah, I'm with them. We had, what, 5 sets of brothers on there?
At one time, yeah.
So that was something for the Navy there. And I did get to know him because of my watches, so I did end up knowing a lot of people. So the food was lousy, but they kept you busy, so what was the difference? You stood watches, working, sleep was very valuable.
Can I ask a question? What, so both of you served on a tender after that?
Yeah.
What was the, can you give us a
It's
comparison?
like going from a Volkswagen to a Cadillac.
Them guys there, they have breakfast on one side, eggs, bacon, the whole 9 yards, cereal and stuff on the other side, steak, ice cream machines. I mean, that was very sad to see that, how they live. I mean, you did, the Navy was good. To get on a tender and see different meals and have choice of what you wanted. So,
Berthing compartments were huge.
Yeah.
You had a bunk bed that was almost the size of like a twin bed. A lot more space under it for your clothes. All we had on this was something that was about 3.5 feet by 3.5 feet to put all your stuff in. Like my brother said, the food was actually, the Puget Sound won an award for the best large ship afloat on the East Coast for food. That's how good it was. I mean,
bakery and all that.
so it was like I said, going from a Cadillac, you go to a Cadillac from a Volkswagen, and going to sea on that thing, it was so big.
Didn't feel it.
It was a lot like riding on a Cadillac instead of a Volkswagen.
Yeah, I never thought I was gonna go to sea again when I got on it, but then we had a new captain, he wanted to go to Halifax, and we did go out on it. And took the waves pretty good, but it was fun to see the guys that never been to, sailors that had never been out to sea, and see them get seasick. And that's a tough one to get. I mean, I had a one-time Chuck, and that's, you can't stop it. You just, oh my God, here it comes.
How did your service and experiences affect your life?
Well, as I stated on one of your first questions about boot camp, I came right out of college, almost 2 years of college. So all I was really responsible for was, myself in trying to get through college, and then to get into the Navy, and within 15 minutes after being sworn in, responsible for 50 people, I never even knew who they were. I don't know to this day how I ever got them to Chicago, because and here's a list of 50 names. So we're in an airport, and they're all over the place, and I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off, going into every men's room I could find to make sure I had the guys back. To this day, I don't know how I got them to Chicago. And then to be responsible as third in command of a company, you go from being just responsible for yourself, you grow up quick, and you learn how to be responsible, and to be responsible for an engine room that's an interesting challenge, which I never would have ever thought I would have been.
Ditto, basically grew up.
Would you do it again if you could?
Yeah, but I would probably do it differently, but yes.
I'd probably do it again. I mean, I got married early too in life on that. I mean, I was married very young. It's hard to go do something like that. I did get a letter from her and said either my father said it's time for you to marry me or I'm moving on, so it is hard. And it was hard. I did end up marrying. I did end up have to go to sea, and she had a baby on her own. Yeah, I mean, I had the baby, but wasn't there. Kind of hard. So.
Why do you think it is important to preserve museum ships for posterity?
Because it's history. For example, I go up to Boston to see the USS Constitution, which goes back to our Revolution, to see what that was compared to each period of time from World War I, like the old four stackers. I wish some of those were around just to see how we progressed from a sailing ship built like the Constitution to what we have today. And if you don't have something like this, and this ship served in World War II, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. It's a part of history that and people can't appreciate it, to see how we actually lived. on these ships. It was tough life.
Is there anything you would like to add that we have not covered in this interview?
Actually, I was very disappointed when Carter did away with the draft, because whether people wanted to go in the military or not, when you see people today that have, like a me generation, and everybody else is responsible for something else. When you go into the military, you come out a different person. And I think when you think about how this country has survived as long as it has, the only reason why we're still free is because of people like us that were that were heroes, but we thought enough of this country to go in and serve to protect it. And it breaks my heart to see where we are now, where it's so disrespected. And this, when I think of all the people that have gave their life for this country, freedom's not free. It costs a lot of blood. And I lost friends that I knew, defending this country. So I think it would be good for the young people to learn some respect and how to be responsible. And because a military person versus a lot of these kids, there's a different breed. They know how to respect people, they know how to work with people, and they're very responsible.